Hello there, welcome to my show. Today I'll be talking about the Hateful Eight, the Revenant and Creed. These are three recent UK releases. Okay, first up's the Hateful Eight. It's a new Quentin Tarantino film. It's set in the Old West, post-Civil War, and it takes place in one snowed-in cabin where basically 8 characters, all of whom have an agenda, are stuck in a cabin during a snowstorm. The basic plot motive is that Kurt Russell is taking a character played by Jennifer Jason Leigh to be hanged, and while he's trapped in this cabin, he's suspicious that some of the old gang are actually in the cabin as well, and who are getting ready to spring her basically. So he's watching everybody, wondering if they actually are who they say they are, and basically he's joined by Samuel L. Jackson and Walton Goggins, who he's not quite sure about them either, but he's trying to work out who they are, who these people in the cabins are, and everyone else is looking at each other with suspicion as well. So no one's quite sure who everyone else is. Everyone knows everyone's got an agenda somehow, and it's just this big paranoid western. Lots of epic shots of the landscape to start with, then a lot of epic shots of the actual cabin. It's shot in 70mm, so the background, the foreground, everything's happening. You can see the important things happening in the foreground, background, left, right. The frame is very important, 70mm, so there's always something going on in the background you have to pay attention to. And then, of course, as soon as you don't pay attention to that, something happens. So it's actually using the 70mm to actually show the mentality of the characters. The characters are trying to watch everything at all points, but they can't see everything because just human nature means they're going to get tired at some point. And the whole plot is, so they actually use the 70mm to get into the mind of the characters, which is a nice technique. Instead of using it for epic David Lean shots, it's actually about paranoia without having to go into extreme shots, just like casual paranoia as you keep watching them interact with people, but you've always got the foreground in the background all the time, so you can always sense that they're thinking, what's going on, is this person ready to get me? So that's really what this is about. It's basically, you could say it's The Thing, but set in the West, but it's not really. I mean, it's a good start-up point because Tarantino used Kurt Russell from The Thing, he used Ennio Morricone to score as well, and he scored The Thing. But that's one setup. It's also a typical paranoid western from the 50s and 60s. I mean, Anthony Mann used to do all these paranoid westerns, and Tarantino's mentioned that some of it was based on stuff he saw as a kid when he was like old TV shows which had guest stars of the week who could be good, who could be bad. I never saw those kind of episodes, but it did feel kind of Anthony Mann because there's this kind of paranoia. The landscape's important, but the inner landscape's also very important as you see people make decisions which are important to their development psychologically. And you see like old vendettas slowly emerge. So everything's done, sometimes subtle, sometimes not, but everything's intentional because sometimes it's unsubtle for a reason because a character's trying to get someone else to get some information. So it just depends on what the need of the scene is. But I mean, I'd say it feels like that, like part Thing, part Anthony Mann. There's also a feeling of the late 60s spaghetti westerns, the political ones where no one trusts each other. I mean, the spaghetti westerns were usually a bit more operatic than this movie is. This movie's got lots of gore, but it's very underplayed as the rest of the time. I mean, spaghetti westerns, like both the generals, things like that, tended to have more operatic acting, but the themes were always paranoia and you couldn't trust anybody and it was always going to go wrong. And this film has that same kind of feel to it. I think it's a lot better film than Django Unchained. Django Unchained got a lot of better reviews than this one. This one's had some sniffy reviews. I don't know why. It's a really strong film. People say it's too long. I didn't find it too long. I thought it was really well paced. But I mean, there's a lot of elements always going on. Everything's always developing. You know, you've 8 characters in a development different stages, so there's always going back and forward from different characters, but you also get characters in the background doing stuff you're noticing that they're doing. you're going to find out a lot more about the character. So it's a film that'll be good to rewatch. And unlike Django, which I thought had a really good first 2/3 and then kind of went off the rails at the end when they kind of just killed him. Django killed a lot of people and the villains didn't kill him, they just made him a slave. Didn't quite work because you think we just have killed him. And that would always bug me with Django. It was always like there's a plot point used to keep the character alive so he can have his revenge, which wouldn't have happened in reality, and it took me out of the film. And this one, there's a plot point that some people don't like that I thought was fine, where basically they're saying, this is a spoiler, that a good chunk of the people in the cabin turn out to be in the gang, and they were saying basically, why didn't they kill Kurt Russell and Samuel Jackson early? You had Kurt Russell and Jason Lee come in first, and they would have been outnumbered. And then other characters came in, it was like, why didn't you just kill them straight away? Well, I never felt that way. I always thought that basically they were playing very careful. They didn't want to have their comrade killed. They don't want to be killed themselves, so they took the subtle approach. They killed these people, took over the cabin, and just wore the characters down, made them paranoid, and then the idea obviously was to poison the coffee and take out a lot of them and then take the rest by gunfire. That seemed to be obviously the plan, so I thought it kind of validated the whole story, because it was like obviously they were doing a slow approach. They could have shot them earlier, but it may have been more a bloodbath, so I always thought that was the reason. You could agree or disagree, but for me it was backed up by the plot. Other people thought it wasn't, but I felt it was actually well done. They'd set up enough in the characters and and what you found out about them as they went on, that there wasn't any characters that were stupid. Everybody was hoping to survive to the next day, or the next few days. Everyone wanted to survive. No one wanted to be killed for dumb reasons, so everyone was being very careful. So I thought it was nice, and actually I had a lot of details to the story, because you were actually watching it and you're seeing, you actually kind of know what's going on. There's a lot of little details that build up to show it's such a characterization. It's not just a plot twist. What the twist is just is a kind of character bit, a character moment, rather than oh, it's a twist. It's more like Vertigo, where there is a twist in Vertigo, but the twist actually is more important what it says about the characters than something like The Sixth Sense, which is just a twist. It's like, oh, this is the twist, but it just makes it feel a bit. I thought it made it feel not as deep as this film could have been, but that's me. But the film is, Hateful, I think, went down to his best films for a while. I mean, I thought he's not going off the boil. He's always been talented. There's always a lot of good stuff going on in his films, but Django Unchained I thought wasn't quite his best. And Inglourious Basterds I liked a lot, but I thought it was slightly too long. It just felt like there was about 10 minutes that could have been lost somewhere in that film. It just felt it was slightly stretched longer than it could have been. It could have just been a bit tighter and have more impact in certain areas. I think it was just slightly too long, and it was the same with Django Unchained. Actually, I thought there was little lulls that they'd managed to lose a few minutes here or there just to pace it up slightly, not like make it really fast, just pace it slightly more. It would have had more impact in certain areas. At least for me it would have. There's a couple of points where I started to drift off and I probably lost a connection that would have been important later on. So that is Hateful Eight. It's very much worth watching. It's terrifically made. The acting's great. You switch from person to person who you like, and even the character who ends up being probably the most honourable, which is Walton Goggins, he's also the biggest racist. So it just twists it round. It's like, well, in all these other areas he's actually fairly decent, but he's also a racist. So it's like, and then the Samuel Jackson is set up as this noble character who's a bit realistic, and turns out he's a bit of a liar. So they're always making it more complicated, like Kurt Russell seems like a total bastard. But as you see the movie go on, you realise, yeah, he made mistakes, but he was probably right to be a bit of a bastard to some of these people because they were dangerous. So, that's Hateful Eight. Okay, next up is The Revenant. The Revenant is a film based around this old historical story about a guy who was attacked in the woods and left for dead by his comrades, his colleagues, and he basically crawls out of the wilderness and survives and faces up to his colleagues at the end of the story. The film is based on it, but there's some, because the film they changed certain things. Like originally he didn't go for revenge, he just got his stuff back and he forgave one of the people. Another one, I'm not sure if he forgave him or not, but he didn't kill them. In this one, the film, he gets back to civilization, he kills someone else who survived for years afterwards gets killed. And the only thing is the same as he forgives the younger guy who abandoned him, because he accepts the fact his story was he was tricked into thinking they were about to be attacked. Not sure if that was accurate to the reality, but it kind of was more accurate than the rest of the ending. I mean, the big problem of this film is the ending. The ending's boring. I mean, it's really good until basically DiCaprio crawls all the way back to civilization. As soon as he's back to civilization, it becomes a revenge movie. And well, there was a revenge elements before that. It wasn't the thing that was dominating it, it wasn't the thing that was interesting about it. It was just, as soon as it became a revenge movie, it just didn't feel right. It just felt like it had gone for something less complicated than it needed to be. Because the DiCaprio character was in the wrong in lots of ways too. It wasn't this perfect character, and it just didn't feel like, it felt like he did earn the right to have one revenge, but the way the film went was, it felt very murky and not very satisfying. It was like there was a better ending somewhere, but they never worked out what it was. But the rest of the film was well made. The cinematography by Emmanuel Lubitsky, who's a great cinematographer. He does Terrence Malick's films. He does a lot of stuff with Alonso. He's really good. He's one of those cinematographers his stuff's always good. He always does great images. There's also a soulful aspect to a lot of cinematography. It's always well framed. It's one of those people who's a great craftsman. And you can see, and he can switch from style to style, from different directors and help them along. But you can always tell it's always really well done. And the direction itself's really good. I mean, it builds up this atmosphere of naturalism within the movie that's terrific. It's just, there's always great, terrific shots that are not too pretty, so that you're seeing people within the landscape. So it's not like overdoing how beautiful it is. It's like, this is dangerous. And you see people surviving the landscape, and it uses the danger of the landscape as well as how beautiful it can be sometimes, so it's double-edged sword, and the director always keeps that in mind. So it's always dangerous, there's always something that could go wrong, and the pace of the film's terrific because it's very calm and suddenly something goes really wrong. Just the way it would happen in real life, where basically you've missed something and suddenly all hell breaks loose. And people are tired, people are angry. Every decision is made is compromised by just reality. So all that stuff's great. But the problem kinda is that the villain's actually a better character than the hero. I mean, you're meant to feel for DiCaprio, who's this guy crawling back to civilization, but he's not really established much before he gets mauled by a bear. He's just this grumpy guy who sits in the corner. He's got this son. He's obviously got some relationships with the Indians, and all these ties, so no one trusts him. But he's too grumpy and sullen to really be an emphatic character. The only reason you emphasise with him is because his son gets killed, which I don't think happened in reality. That was just an invention. And he has to survive, and that's what you're going for, is the fact he survived. But you don't ever feel who this guy actually was, They don't invent anything to keep you interested in who the guy is. It's just a guy surviving, just this basically lump of meat trying to survive. And I think that was a problem. I mean, you don't have to have a massive biography, but you need to have some sense of who they are. I mean, some of the Mad Max, Fury Road, didn't say that much, but Tom Hardy gave these little details, these little looks every so often. They give you a lot of characterization. So you don't need to have lots of dialogue to have great characterization, because Mad Max Fury Road did it brilliantly. And here, the best guy in it is Tom Hardy as the villain, because he didn't have much to do or say, but he does these little things that tell you a lot of the guy's character. He's really thought it through. And there's lots of little details that he's got. And Will Poulter plays a young guy who's with him and also abandons DiCaprio. It's the same. He's got lots of little details. These are really, really well done well done characters based on not much information. And it's basically, it was criticised, Hardy was criticised for being a bit over the top, which he is, but he does it really well. He's one of those actors, sort of like Jack Nicholson, who can go above reality, but there's always subtle things going on as well, which means there's always a sort of balance. So it's entertaining, plus there's some reality to keep you watching, make you rewatch. And DiCaprio doesn't really do that, and he's done it in the past. So it's like, so obviously he was told not to do that, to be basic, but it becomes this thing where you don't feel that much for the guy. You're just hoping he survives because something horrible's happened to him. There's no actual character. So when he gets to the end and he's getting revenge, it's like you're getting a cipher getting revenge on someone you may disagree with, but he's actually a more fuller character, really. So he may have done some horrible things, but he actually has a character in this other character, in DiCaprio's sort of cipher. So no matter what they do, the cinematography, the pacing, everything else, it's really well done. Because there's some beautiful sequences and they build and build and build. You don't really feel for the main character, and it makes it feel kind of hollow. And it was the same problem I had with Birdman, actually, where they had all these great moments and the cinematography was great. It was the same director in Birdman, and the lead actor was terrific, but the character itself was kind of hollow, and you were like, so the ending didn't really have an impact it should have had, because the lead character was underdeveloped. And it's become sort of this problem, because I've seen a few other films and it's the same thing where you don't feel as much, I don't feel as much as I think the director wants me to feel, because the characters feel like ciphers. I don't feel like the little details you need are there. And it's not like details to make you like them, it's just details to make you find them interesting. Because I don't need to like a character. I mean, there's lots of characters who I think are terrific characters who I don't like, I just think they're fascinating. In this one, the character you need to be fascinating isn't. I mean, there's a film called The Grey a few years ago with Liam Neeson, which wasn't a great film, but at least it had a character who's a bit of a cliche, but you knew what it was about, so you felt something by the time you got to the end. In this film you don't feel as much because the character's underdeveloped. I mean, that's my opinion. The film's still very much worth watching. It's still a really good film. It's just, it lacks that little few details that you need to kind of push it to the next level, for me at least. A lot of people I've seen reviews of think it is the next level. I don't think it is, but it's just different opinions. So that's The Revenant. It's still very much worth seeing. Finally, we've got Creed. Creed's is basically Rocky 7, because it's a follow-up to the Rocky series that started with Rocky and ended up with Rocky Balboa. And it ups and downs in the series. But for anyone who grew up in the 80s, it's a series you have a lot of affection for. Because, I mean, I've seen them all. There's some I like, there's some I love, some I like. There's one or two that aren't very good. But even they are good in a different way. But it's something a sound generation has a lot of affection for, and Creed's obviously made by someone who had that affection too, because it's based on the character, the son of one of the supporting characters in the Rocky series, Apollo Creed. And the idea is he had a son he didn't know about because he died just as the son was getting born, and you know, the son's trying to find his way in the world, and basically he becomes a boxer, but he doesn't want to use his father's name. He wants to make it on his own, and eventually he goes to Rocky to help him train, because he feels he's not getting proper training to make him be a contender the way he needs to be. And so basically it becomes a two-hander between Rocky and this kid, and you watch them, the relationship develop. And also the kid has a romance with an artist who's going deaf, so then it becomes almost a little family circle. And it's a really well done film. I mean, there's a lot of hyperbole about this film because it's like, this is the greatest film ever, and it's like, it's not really, but it's a good film. It's like, it's well made, it's well directed, well acted, the writing's basic, but the direction always pushes forward to the little details that make the film feel alive. It's like, it has got a basic Rocky structure to it, but like Rocky Balboa, it keeps the sentimentality down, it keeps the cliches down, so it's more about the characters outside the ring as the ring itself. And it's all about their demons, about things they felt they should have done or can do, they're not getting a chance to do. It's like Rocky, there's little plot elements that are, you know, they feel a bit forced, but it doesn't matter because it's a Rocky movie, so you know that's going to happen. That's the thing I've got against this film, in a sense that I'm not against the film, but the fact it's been so praised, it's like there are still some of these plot elements that are the same as the old Rocky films that you're just ignoring. I think some people love the film so much they're not looking at the flaws. Sort of like The Force Awakens, where probably a few years ago you would look at the film and say, it's great, but these are the flaws. At the moment some people can't see the flaws. I can, but it's still a very enjoyable film. Michael B. Jordan, who plays the lead, has been a good actor for a long time, and he's terrific here. He puts the work in to look like a good boxer. He puts the work in with Stallone to have that relationship feel natural without being sentimental. Stallone's terrific because he's playing a character who he knows really well, and someone's directing him to be honest and not be get into old habits. So most of that works. They don't overdo the montages. There's some montages, but they're not overdone. It feels still very basic and honest to what a character is trying to become a boxer. Probably it's speeded up from what it probably would be in real life, because to be a boxer takes years and years. This one feels a lot faster than would be in reality, but it's a movie, so there's only so much you can do. So yes, there's all these Rocky shortcuts that are in the film, but the film itself has lots of great moments, little moments that just deliver. It's not about winning the fight. It's not like the thing about the best Rocky movies. It's not about winning the fight. It's about doing the fight. And that's what this one goes for as well. It's not about winning. And that's what really works. It's a nice film because it's about people who have been down the luck and who are trying to survive, and it doesn't insist on everyone being tied up in a neat knot at the end. It's just like, it's getting to the next stage of life's the main thing really. And so with Rocky, it's about him trying to learn how to fight cancer and trying to learn to get onto a new stage of his life when a lot of his old friends have now died. So that's what really works about the film. It's just lots of these little moments that build and build and build. So it's a really terrific entertainment. Doesn't quite get up to the next level, but it's definitely worth seeing. I thought it was a lovely little B-movie film where there's some cliches, but the heart's in the right place, the performance, the direction, all of that's good. Hope you enjoyed the show. I'll be back next week with some sci-fi movies, and I hope you also enjoy my new other show called The Damned.